Hi everybody, it's meteorologist Joe Cioffi. It is a Thursday, July the 12th, 2018, coming up on almost 5 minutes after 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Hope everybody had a very good day. Actually, the weather around my neck of the woods was quite nice today. Lots of sunshine, low humidity, temperatures in the low to mid 80s, 70s at the shore. Really can't ask for too much better than this, although it's hard to compare. It's when you've had days like what we had last week, and particularly last Saturday, kind of sets the bar high, but we keep getting these dry shots of air and cooler shots of air. So, the overall view of the fact that we are not going to see prolonged heat and humidity, and when I say prolonged, I'm talking about more than 5 days worth, that still seems to hold. We still probably will see some hot days, particularly Sunday and Monday coming up. We'll probably see temperatures up around the 90-degree mark or a little bit higher, but I don't see anything extreme, at least again for my neck of the woods. And actually, weather around the country is, for this time of year, where you could have raging heat waves going on and a few other things, not all that bad, to tell you the truth. It really isn't. We're going to take a look first. I want to start with the tropics because Chris is gone and we have the remnants of Beryl still out there, but right now that doesn't seem to be doing very much. And I've got these loops, the satellite loops on the GO 16. There's some issue going on there. Hopefully they'll fix it up. But I'm bringing up this enhanced loop so you could actually see some of the shear that's going on. For example, there are actually a series of strong tropical disturbances moving across Africa, and they're starting to come off the coast. But the problem is that you've got a very strong upper low. You see these dark gray clouds in that circular look to them. That is a strong upper level low in the high levels of the atmosphere, going up at 24,000 feet or higher. And this is creating very strong wind shear conditions across the tropical Atlantic. The tropical waves themselves, there's one off the African coast. There's another one to the west of that. You see how the clouds are just kind of getting blown off from south to north, and the enhanced convection diminishes over time as those cloud tops get blown off. That's the problem with the shearing here, and it's especially evident with what looks like some sort of tropical wave interacting with an upper trough in the Eastern Caribbean, and you've got some showers approaching the Windward Islands, but those tops are getting sheared and blown off to the north. So as long as you have conditions like this in the upper atmosphere, it's going to be very, very difficult to get a tropical system to form. And off the Florida coast, actually east of the Bahamas now out to Bermuda, or just east of Bermuda, we have convection here, which is part of the remnants of Beryl and also an upper trough that's out there. And to the east of that, by the way, there's a small upper low that is moving northwestward. You can see it go to the east of that area. You can see that small upper low moving northwest. So again, conditions in the tropics at the moment appear to be rather hostile, and they might stay that way for a while. So perhaps we had this little burst of development, and now we're going to see a little quiet time for a week or so, and then maybe toward the end of the month we'll start to see it rev up again, depending on whether this whole profile here changes or not. And here is a close-up view of the remnants of Beryl off the southeast coast of the U.S., well off the southeast coast. And again, the upper-level winds at the moment definitely not favorable. The Hurricane Center is still holding on to the possibility that we could see this develop over the weekend, but even if it does, it'll be offshore and well offshore at that, so I don't see this being problematic. Even if it winds up coming back to life, it'll eventually just get skedaddle away to the northeast, which is a word that the Hurricane Center using in describing Chris, which, by the way, is no more, as that system moves through Newfoundland as a very strong non-tropical system, producing some wind and rain, and then on it goes out to the northeast. We are also looking at what's going on in the southwest. This is the monsoon season, and this is a visible loop that only is about an hour long, maybe a little, just about an hour's worth of pictures. And those are thunderstorms that have developed across New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, and into parts of interior Southern California. We do have flash flood watches and warnings up again today, much like yesterday. And one of the things I noticed, I was pulling up some of the temperatures and dew points out there. Remember back when they had the heat, back a week or two ago, when I was we were talking about the temperature being at 111 and the dew point of 1, and a relative humidity in Las Vegas of about 2%. Well, today when I checked it earlier, the temperature was 93. The dew point was 65. That is humid for that part of that part of the world, where normally it's it's bone dry in the southwest with the desert and all, and yet you do get these with the monsoons. You do get tropical moisture that's pulled up northward from the Pacific, and that is producing the showers and thunderstorms. And in some places, the rain has been rather heavy. In fact, here's the radar, and let me shrink this up just a little bit and show you a bit more of it. There are some fairly large clusters of downpours and thunderstorms going on from New Mexico through a good chunk of Arizona, in and around Las Vegas. It looks like there's some shower buildups and some heavier thunderstorms popping up. And again, this is all monsoon stuff. Some areas expecting 2 to 3 inches of rain. You got to remember, a lot of the ground out here is baked like concrete. So when it rains, the runoff of that water is almost immediate. Very little gets to soak into the ground because the ground is so darn hard. So it just it doesn't get a chance to do that. Elsewhere, if we take a look at the radars across the south, we do have, this is as of 7:11 Eastern Time, so if you're watching this on a replay, be sure to check your local National Weather Service office forecast and radar, and you can access that at weather.gov, so you make sure that you have the latest up-to-date information. But we do have a fairly large area of thunderstorms in northeast Texas from Dallas eastward, north of the Houston area. Not too much happening across parts of Louisiana. I've got some scattered cells in Oklahoma and parts of Kansas. In the east, as we go east across the Gulf states, the frontal boundary of the dry air is down into Virginia, so we're seeing some showers and storms across the coastal Carolinas, back to parts of Georgia. Again, most of this is scattered stuff. Florida, again, the west coast seems to be getting more action than the east, with some developing thunderstorms. The last several days, they've been running pretty much from just north of Key West up the coast to Naples, Sarasota, Port Charlotte, and then on up to the Tampa Bay area. So we're seeing the thunderstorms there again. And then up in the northeast, it's pretty quiet. A little bit of shower activity in parts of eastern Michigan. And we do have some potential severe weather going on up in the northern plains and upper Midwest. And we can see, at least as of 7:12, it looks like a developing line of strong to severe thunderstorms in southern Minnesota, and then some more strong storms back into parts of Nebraska. Pacific Northwest is quiet, and at least coastal California and central and northern California look fairly quiet as well. So with respect to the severe weather, let me just really quick see if I can bring up the Storm Prediction Center's map, and I have it here. So where we were talking about those storms in the northern plains and in the in through southern Minnesota and Wisconsin, that's where we have a narrow in width, but covering a number of states from Nebraska, northern Nebraska, southeastern South Dakota, across southern Minnesota and into northwestern Wisconsin, a slight risk of severe weather. And we have 2 severe thunderstorm watches in play at the moment But again, if you're watching this later tonight, we're now at almost 7:15 Eastern Time, so be sure to check your local National Weather Service office and the local radar so that you have the most current information. And with the storms in the Carolinas, we have that area of marginal risk. So let's come back to where we're going weather-wise, and there really isn't too much going forward, at least. I really don't think there's too much. There's nothing really extraordinary about what's going on in the weather pattern right now. We seem to be in kind of typical mid-July mode here. There's not we don't have any extreme heat really in any location. There's no major heat wave that's been underway for days or even weeks at a time. We've kind of settled into this almost average pattern across the country. Kind of weird when we're so used to things out of the ordinary happening, being balanced by stuff going in the other direction. Everything seems to be somewhere in the middle with this. And when we go into motion here, we do have this system in the plains coming into the Great Lakes on Friday. There's a little surface low that's developed well east of the Carolina coast. That could be something representing the remnants of Beryl, but again, that eventually just gets kicked out to the northeast. Saturday night, there'll probably be the remnants of that system in the plains now that comes through, and that could produce a shower or thunderstorm. But after Friday, which will be another day of sunshine and relatively low humidity, we're going to start to turn warmer and more humid over the weekend. Maybe a shower or thunderstorm Saturday night into Sunday morning. Again, this is for my area, eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. And then we'll start to turn very warm to hot for Sunday and Monday. Notice some scattered showers and storms in the Ohio Valley and in the Gulf states. A more important weather front, that's for late next Tuesday that comes through into the east. The GFS seems to be especially bullish with this in terms of shower and thunderstorm development, but I would caution, we were looking at this from the front last week, and it wound up falling apart when it got here. And that seems to be the trend with models, where they show things happening early on, and then as we get closer, the systems get less impressive. I would expect this to follow a similar trend, but we'll watch. Every once in a while, you do get something that does break the trend. There's a nice little high that's coming out of Minnesota here with another shot of dry air that comes into the east for the end of next week. And then next weekend, it's back to very warm, humid conditions with maybe some thunderstorms. And looks like with the trough wanting to be in the east, perhaps it could get a bit more active in terms of showers and storms when we go through later next weekend and into the following week before another front moves out. Again, weather systems continue to just move right along. We noted that yesterday in our long-range piece that we wrote on my website, meteorologistjoecioffi.com. If you haven't read it, you can go back and take a look at it. But here's the late afternoon run of the GFS, and we'll just set you up starting from today as the trough off the East Coast lifts out. But notice there isn't really a strong ridge building behind it. There's a little bit of ridging, but not a lot. The ridge in the Atlantic and out back into the west is pretty flat. This is our system for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then that swings through, and then another trough drops into the east for the end of next week and going into the last days of the month of July. Very active northern part of the jet stream. This means, as I've been saying, it can get hot for a day or two, but for the east anyway, but a prolonged heat wave with extreme temperatures. When I talk extreme, I'm thinking 95 to 100. That's just not in the cards. So if you like heat and humidity for weeks at a time, at least for the northeast and the northern mid-Atlantic states, that's not going to be the case. Here's the GFS's view from late this afternoon with respect to what's left of Chris, which is now a non-tropical system. And you notice that if you look at the outline of the rain here, it's all on the west side. There's not that much going on the east side. You don't have that sort of uniform circular look to it because now it's taken on the look of a non-tropical or post-tropical or extratropical cyclone. That is moving out tonight, and then weather conditions improve over southern Canada, southeastern Canada, and Newfoundland. And the remnants of Beryl don't seem to do very much. Maybe some showers coming through parts of eastern Newfoundland on Monday, or Sunday into Monday, but really nothing out of the ordinary. And then the next weather front approaches with a wave on it late next week. So a little early for systems to, when they form in the tropics and they move up the east coast and they threaten Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. The ocean water temperatures are very cold there, and they're still running well below average for this time of year too. So that in and of itself becomes a tropical storm killer. You did have at least enough of a trough in the upper atmosphere to get this thing to generate into at least initially as a rather powerful post-tropical cyclone. But then in the end, it just weakens as it moves on out to the northeast. So yeah, that pretty much covers it. I don't expect, by the way, with regards to the remnants of Chris, I don't think you're going to see that head over into northwestern Europe or England or Ireland. We're noticing that the weather models can continue to deflect the post-tropical system that was Chris over more toward Iceland or even a little bit further north and west of there. So it doesn't look like it's going to be any kind of threat to England and Ireland at this stage of the game. William Huber, thank you for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really appreciate it very much. I'm coming onto the board with everybody so we can chat for a little bit. I'm going to just take a look and see what you guys are all talking about tonight. So I'm going to roll back to the beginning. Weather Hub TV, good for you with 500 subscribers, and you got 500 to go to get to the magic 1,000, and Google starts to like you when you get there. So big hi to Dio, Iron Mind, James NASCAR, Johnny Quest, Priscilla Mayu, Scott Olson, Delvin, of course, Robert Hurley. Yes, too dry now. Need some rain. My grass, the grass on my lawn is just absolutely burned. I don't even know why they come and try and cut it, because there's nothing really to cut. Johnny Quest, on the other hand, in the Blue Ridge Mountains is too wet because of all the rain that you've had, and you've a lot of pop-up storms in the southwest. You're pointing that out in the atmosphere. Very bubbly out there because of the monsoon. Stephen White reminiscing about the summers of 2011 and 2012. I'm liking it the way it is now, by the way. As far as I'm concerned, it can stay this way for the rest of the summer. Hey, Joe, dew point when I got up this morning at 6:40 was 65, now down to 60. I had a sprinkle by my house. I saw on the radar a moderate shower. There were a couple of small pop-ups that developed in parts of Ocean County today, Israel. A little bit of instability in the atmosphere, a little upper air disturbance kind of rolled on through. Moved over Long Island yesterday evening. Parts of Long Island had a few pop-ups, but that's all really that they were. They really didn't produce very much. Keith Smolin, what is our next shot at some decent rainfall? I don't think the reservoirs are at issue right now. We've had enough clusters of thunderstorms in the right spots to have the reservoirs in fairly good shape, as far as the last time I looked, anyway. But if that trough comes into the east, it might change things and make things a bit wetter starting later next weekend and perhaps into the following week. So we're going to be watching that trough in the east to see where it drops in. Where is it relative to the coast? Is it going to be further west and a bit on the stubborn side? Because that could produce perhaps some better chances for downpours and some thunderstorms, and perhaps it would be a bit more widespread. And you want the trough right where in the long range, right through when you come back to the U.S. From August 8th on. We'll see. Nothing lasts forever, so I don't know where we're going to deal with this. Johnny Quest, 4 inches of rain in an hour, a flood emergency that lasted until 2 in the morning. Really, it doesn't stop for you. my God, you've been just going at it for weeks and weeks now. Timothy Veltman, brown is the new green grass this year. You need some green dye to spray on it. Ain't that the truth? For sure. And David Schwartz had a nice shower this morning where he was in Queens, and it was good for his garden, and it came and went. I never saw a raindrop out of it. Stephen, 2011 and 2012, I don't remember really myself what the summers were like that year. I have to go back and look. I used to have these things at the top of my head and know exactly, but as you get older, that kind of, it starts to get mushy after a while, and I only seem to remember the big events. 2012, of course, that was with Hurricane Sandy, so that's really what stands out in my mind, front and center. Would I go on a hurricane underplane to investigate a weak hurricane at least? That would be thrilling. No. No, my days of those kind of adventures are long gone, okay? Rain in Roswell, New Mexico for the aliens, yes. Brian Stevens, absolutely. And yes, 2010 hurricane season was active. By the way, we're at the third named storm in the second hurricane, and on average, we don't usually get to the second hurricane in an average season, when you kind of smooth out all the numbers, until sometime late in August. So we're running ahead of the game. And by the way, the Atlantic Ocean waters in the tropical Atlantic are warming up. They were below average, and by a sizable amount by a few weeks ago, but that continues to moderate, and they're getting pretty close to average. So if you remember, it's not in early June, looking at what the water temperatures were in early June and what they may be at the end of this month, may wind up being two very different things. So just remember that. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have a subactive year. And as far as the Pacific water temperatures are concerned, even though there's an El Nino watch, and an El Nino would cut down on the tropical storm and hurricane activity, right now, it seems as if the greater anomalies are out in the West Pacific and not in the Central and East Pacific, which would have, certainly if it were in the East Pacific, it would have far more impact on hurricane and tropical storm development on both sides, the Atlantic and the Pacific, increasing it in the East Pacific and decreasing it in the Atlantic. But it looks like right now that the warming is going on much further to the west. So we'll pay attention to that. There's no official El Nino that has been declared, but that's something that we are going to keep a close eye, and particularly because if that's around for the winter time, that may have some impact on the winter in the Northeast and in the Mid-Atlantic states. And Johnny Quest is offering water for everyone. Yes, Dio Nankumar, I actually did go over 6,000 overnight, and then 2 people disappeared. So I got back. I was down. I was at 6,001, and it's dropped back to 59.99. But thank you for all you new subscribers that may be watching, and if you are watching us for the first time, please, by all means, hit the subscribe button, and this way you'll get notifications. We do live streams every day, and some days we do 2 or 3 live streams, depending on how severe the weather conditions are, like during a hurricane, for example. Anthony Orr, atmospheric conditions don't look like they're going to support. Oh, I lost you. Where'd you go? Oh, you were just not supporting tropical storm development. Just, again, what we're seeing now, what we'll see 2 weeks from now, may be 2 different things. So let's, I have always advocated for the idea that you should always watch these things evolve rather than try to be predictive. Watch what's happening in the short and medium term. By medium term, maybe I mean, the second week in the long range, and go from there. Don't go too far out. You'll just you'll be like banging your head against the wall. And by the way, just remember that the 2 hurricanes we just had kind of popped out of nowhere. I even said back before Beryl and Chris formed that it looked like the tropics were going to be quiet for a couple of weeks, and look what happens. You get You get Beryl, which was remarkable in not just its size, but even where it developed, and the state of the ocean water temperatures there was kind of in its own little cocoon of moisture and ideal conditions. It was basically a cluster of severe thunderstorms, or as one person that I follow, Cranky Weather Guy, I think he called it severe thunder shower Beryl, and that's that's kind of what it looked like. And Chris, which came out of an upper low and thunderstorms that developed, the upper low separated, the remaining system gradually increased in terms of the thunderstorm activity. Circulation developed, ocean water temperatures off the southeast coast very warm, and bingo, you had a Category 2 hurricane out of that. So you could see these things come up quick sometimes. So just bear that in mind. Well, good for you. Predicted Beryl in the video you did a week ago. Awesome. Good for you, Weather Hub TV. Wind shear and dry air as far as the end of July and early August, but as you're currently saying, yeah, there's nothing that says that that's going to still, we're seeing that now, and those conditions don't look that, good for development over the next couple of weeks. But after that, you might see things change. Let's watch and see how the pattern devolves in the coming weeks. And Johnny Quest is thinking storms. I think we're getting storms because the ground is wet. Positive feedback. The wetter the ground, yeah, I mean, the moisture there certainly plays a role in a lot of ways. And of course, you're in a pattern, a long-term pattern which keeps setting up that frontal boundary just to your south, and that causes some real problems. All right, folks, I'm going to call it a night at this point. Thanks again, everybody, for being here as always, and thank you for those of you who are new. And as I said, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you'll get notified. We do these live videos. I try to do at least one every day. Also, just want to mention real quick the Amazon link and the Ebates link that is now on my the descriptor to this live stream. And also on the video, the descriptor to the video, when this goes into the video library. We are a participant in the Amazon Services LLC program, which is an affiliate program, advertising program designed to provide a means for us to earn fees by linking to Amazon and affiliated sites. And the same goes for Ebates, which is an affiliate advertising program designed to provide a means for us to earn fees from Ebates by linking to their website. So the way Ebates works is you get cash back when you shop at your favorite store if you shop online. Just about every major retailer is on there. So do check it out if you so choose, or the Amazon link. I appreciate the support from everybody. Thank you. And thank you, William Huber, for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really, really appreciate that. The Joe and Joe Weather Show tonight at 9:15 on Facebook. My Facebook page, meteorologist Joe Cioffi, and then we'll upload it to the video library afterwards. So if you're not on Facebook, you can watch it here on YouTube. Hopefully I can put it up in the library before 10 o'clock. Otherwise, it may come up closer to midnight. I did wind up putting up last night's Joe and Joe Weather Show, but I wasn't able to do it until 11:30 last night, so it came up a little bit late. Have a great evening, everybody. The weekend's almost here. We'll see you later on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. If not, we'll see you tomorrow.